You're live.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the 59th week of the Free Assange Online Vigil. My name is Andrew Smith, and I am joined via audio with my good friend and guest host, or co-host, Steve Poikinen. We do not have a guest for today, but we do have a lot of information to cover. So without any further ado, this is day 3,545 since the illegal and arbitrary detention of Julian Assange started. It is 499 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the United Kingdom for a $4.2 billion IMF loan to the nation of Ecuador. Julian Assange has formally been held without charge since June 24th, 2020, for a total of 60 days. It is 15 days until the second phase of his extraordinary rendition hearing happens or starts. It is 1,177 days of incarceration in federal custody for Reality Winner. And in the good news, it is day 158 for Chelsea Manning since she's been released. And as always, I just want to direct people over to her Twitch account. She does stream Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Just hop over, show her some love. She's usually pretty funny and has great conversations with people in chat. And a very, very special thank you before we kick off to everyone that made it possible for us to reach our fundraising goal for DC. We didn't think we would get anywhere close to the $10,000. We thought we would have just enough to cover housing, but you guys have blown our expectations out of the water, and we're really excited to be able to have you guys join us there and to represent the Free Assange movement in DC for all 3 weeks of the extradition hearing. If something happens, because we haven't gotten word yet if Julian's case is being rescheduled from September or not, we don't have a yes or a no from the legal team, we will still be there. We will still go for the full 3 weeks, regardless of if they postpone the hearing or not. So we still would like everyone to come out there and join us for that, regardless of if the trial gets pushed back to whenever. We will still be there from September 4th through, I believe, the 23rd or 24th. So I just really appreciate everybody that made it possible and helped us be able to actually get there. We still do have the GoFundMe link up right now, and we are going to keep it up through probably most of the third week, because the way GoFundMe works, they give you the money about 48 hours afterwards. So at some point during the hearing, or the time that we'll be there when it was supposed to happen, we will turn that off. But for now, we are going to keep it going. And we just, again, want to say thank you to everybody that made that possible. We do have 2 different call to actions that I'm going to drop into the chat. The first one is contacting a drivers union over in the UK. They have about 20,000 members. Their website says like 19 something thousand. And this is asking them to support one of their members that sent them a statement about Julian. The other one is something we're going to have going on through the end of the month, and probably into next month, just depending on how everything goes. And that is our demand the hearings be heard. As Kevin Gostola pointed out a couple weeks ago, journalists are having a huge issue with actually being able to connect via phone link to Julian's trial. Last time they just hooked him into a different court hearing altogether. So we're putting that out there and asking people to contact all of those different complaint lines. It's every single one that I could find relative to the UK court system and the UK prison system. So please reach out and just demand that they fix that problem, because it's something that if we can figure out how to do a live stream, they can figure out how to do a phone call. But without any further ado, I am really excited to say that Stella Morris has released a fundraising effort over on Crowd Justice to help actually raise money for Julian's legal team. So I have an article here by Mo that I want to go through. And Steve actually fell off, so I think we could actually do screen share for this, Josh, if you want to pull it up for me.
It's up.
Okay, cool.
Or
So this
it
is
will
by
be.
Mohammed El-Mazi, a good friend of the show and a writer for Sputnik. Julian Assange's partner launches fundraiser to help with mounting legal costs. The WikiLeaks publisher faces 175 years imprisonment should he be convicted of all 18 charges related to his role in publishing classified U.S. documents, which revealed the war crimes and other criminality. Julian Assange's partner, Stella Morris, launched a fundraiser to assist the mounting legal costs as the WikiLeaks publisher faces an extraordinary rendition to the U.S. on espionage charges. Miss Morris is a criminal defense lawyer who has two sons with the imprisoned publisher. Explained her crowdfunder launch that the family's resources are very limited. She said WikiLeaks releases were all issued in an enormous exercise over a period of more than a year without receiving payment. Now it is a matter of David against Goliath. So I'm going to put that link for her fundraiser into the chat for everybody. If you could please help circulate this, that would be amazing. They do need a ton of help. This is something that I think supporting the legal team is the most important at this point. There are people out there that are saying the legal team should do this or the legal team should do that. I'm not educated enough on law to ever say the legal team should do this, the legal team should do that. I just want them to know that there are people that support them and that it is a horrible time right now and they are put in a position where they have to make terrible decisions. So I really just hope that as a community, we can really get behind this fundraiser, but then also figure out some other ways to take I would say like a decisive act of appreciation for the legal team, because it's not easy, the situations that they've been put into. It feels so weird not doing this without Steve, because I'm expecting to like have him pick up with something. So let me. Do we want to do the article about the ex-Guardian editor, Josh?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Cool. So this next one here, ex-Guardian editor Alan Rosebridge. Surprising, more can't see Assange's case is worrying for all journalists. Former Guardian editor has said the ongoing U.S. extraordinary rendition case against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is disturbing and has worrying implications for all journalists. He has said that it is surprising that Moore didn't share his concerns. While Assange has garnered support from a range of campaign groups for his plight, the response from journalists and the news industry in the UK has been relatively muted. Allen was the editor of The Guardian for 20 years, leaving in 2015. Under his editorialship, the paper worked with WikiLeaks on the 2010 Iraq and Afghanistan war logs, and a few years later, the Snowden files. Assange is fighting extradition to the U.S. under 17 charges of the Espionage Act, and is.
That's
Hey,
Steve.
how's it going, Steve?
Oh, I'm alright. I'm trying to better region right now. So if I cut in and out, it's just because I'm on my way to Garberville.
No worries.
I don't even know if that was true.
Yeah, no. You said you were on your way to Garberville. I heard you. Your video is super frozen, though. Your audio is coming through like 80%. But I think we lost Steve again. And for those who don't know, just to give a little bit update and why Steve isn't currently with us, if you were watching the vigil on Tuesday, Steve got an emergency evacuation notice while we were on actually streaming. All of the fires and everything in California are literally just affecting where he lives and where he stays. The fires in and around his area, I believe, are like 2% contained right now. Is that right, Steve?
5% contained as of this morning.
Oh, you're cutting out on us again, buddy. So while we wait for Steve to find a little bit better internet signal, I'm going to dive back in here. Any charges against Assange relating to journalistic activity, such as the publishing of material in the public interest, should be dropped, Allen told Press Gazette. Assange, an Australian national, claimed asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy and was granted citizenship to the nation of Ecuador in London in 2012 while on police bail over rape allegation charges in Sweden, or rape allegations in Sweden, which he had denied and have since been dropped. He lived in the embassy for nearly 7 years before his arrest in April last year. Assange has been held in Belmarsh prison for the past 16 months, serving a 50-week sentence for skipping bail, which was finished in September of last year. He is currently being held on remand while he awaits his extraordinary rendition case. Allen said that while Assange has done things that he can't defend, which stray beyond the conventional definition of journalism, the Australian is not all good or all bad. Which I horribly disagree with. I think revealing anything in the public interest is essentially journalism. WikiLeaks, this is editorializing a bit, introduced scientific journalism, where they provided first-hand sources, the documents in and of themselves, where anyone with a technical skill to verify them could verify that they were real. So I don't necessarily agree with this guy's perspective there, but I'll go ahead and continue. Allen said the precedent set by the UK for allowing someone to be extradited for prosecution under another country's official secrets laws would ultimately be used by regimes to target British journalists who report on sensitive information about foreign powers. It is quite a disturbing thing that we should be sending somebody to another country for supposedly breaking their laws on secrecy. If journalists are not concerned by that, then I think they should be, he said. The danger here is that if everyone sort of shrugs and leaves Assange to his fate, and this sets the kind of judicial precedent, then the next time a journalist on the Sunday Times writes about a secret Israeli weapon system, as it has in the past, the Israelis will say, well, actually, that's a breach of our Official Secrets Act. Under the Assange precedent, we now ask for this person to be returned to our country so we can prosecute them. The article continues, so I'll drop the link in the chat for anyone who hasn't read it, but I think that that's one of the most important portions of this is the fact that it's going to allow any government in the world to literally just reach out and grab individuals for exposing secrets. It doesn't matter if you're a UK journalist exposing secrets about Namibia. It doesn't matter if you're an American journalist exposing secrets about China. The legal global precedent will be set that all nations have to abide by other nations' official secret laws and send those journalists to that country to be tortured for it. Are you back in, Steve?
He's
Or are you
muted.
still having trouble? Oh, Steve's muted. So there is one thing I really want to mention for people, though. There was a group that did a live stream recently. It's about an hour long. It's called Women Speak Out for Assange. I think it's a really, really, really good idea, and I hope that they continue doing these. When we first set out to do these vigils, we knew that we weren't going to be a channel with 1 million subscribers or anything like that. We just wanted to make sure that the message was still getting out. And the hope was that other channels and other people would start doing the same thing and make us the smallest fish in a big pond. So as I see other groups start to do things like this, I just really appreciate it because this is something that impacts everybody across any ideological lines. So seeing any group willing to put themselves on the line like that to say, hey, we support Julian goes a really, really long way. So Glenn Greenwald released a piece about how covert agents infiltrate the internet, manipulate, deceive, and destroy reputations. One of the many pressing stories that remains to be told from the Snowden archives is how the Western intelligence agencies are attempting to manipulate and control online discourse with extreme tactics of deception and reputation destruction. So I'm just going to run through the slides that are on here. This article, and I'll drop it in chat, is absolutely worth reading. This is a short version of the wonderful information that Taylor put out along with Susie Dawson on the, I believe it was Protect Susie channel with the One versus Five Eyes campaign over there, where they did a full write-up and discussion about J-Trigs, the Five Eyes Alliance. And this is a smaller version of that. Oh, no, not those slides, the article, Steve, or Josh. If you scroll down, Glenn put a couple different actual slides in his article about it.
Where are the slides at? I'm not
Just keep
seeing
going down. Oh, you're at the Press Gazette. Hop over to the Intercept article.
them. Oh, my bad.
No, you're good, buddy.
Is this the
And then,
disruption part? Was that the slide?
yeah, the disruption. Then if you just scroll down through it. So this is the operator's playbook, right? These are their different little tactics for disrupting online campaigns, whether it's activists, whether it's something else. Infiltration, rouse operations, set piece operations, false flag, false rescue, disruption operations, and stings. If you scroll down at the next one, it talks about how to discredit a target. That you set up a honey trap. So I know most of us know, but just to throw it out into the ether, what a honey trap is essentially legal government prostitution or legal prostitution through the intelligence communities. It's where they put out a sexual target trying to hope that you catch the bait, and then they can use that evidence as blackmail against you. It's been used time and time and time again literally across time and across human societies to be able to manipulate people. But also changing their photos on social media sites, writing blogs purporting to be one of their victims, emailing and texting their colleagues, neighbors, friends, etc. How to discredit a company, leak confidential information to companies and press via blogs, etc. Post negative information on appropriate forums, stop deals and ruin business relationships. So in the realm of activism, I would say that an organization is looked at like a company, like Action for Assange or Unity for J. And so what people try to do is get in behind the scenes, cause chaos, try to make shit happen, and then try to make it look like they're the ones that are the victims. This is something that has happened throughout the internet, throughout history. But it's just really important to put that out there, especially as we're approaching DC and have done all this amazing work as a community to actually get people there for 3 weeks. I would say wholly expect something to come after us, whether it's some kind of blue check or other person like that. We know that activists working on Julian's campaign are one of the most targeted individuals. So I think that pointing this out as we're going into DC is really important because we don't know what the intelligence agencies and private security companies are going to do to try to fuck with us. But we do know it is going to happen. So putting their documents here out into the ether, I feel like really goes a long way to, at least in some sense, remove a level of power from them. Are you back up with us, Steve?
I have no idea.
I hear you.
Okay.
We'll
run with that.
Cool. You want to give us some updates and say hi to everybody?
Hey, everybody. I love you. I miss you guys. I am, me and my family are entirely safe and secure and way the fuck off grid. I'm in between Garberville and Alder Point, California, up in southern Humboldt County, on a road that they refer to as Murder Mountain. But I believe that that's sensationalized by Netflix. Having been up there for a couple of days, Boulder Creek is still mostly, or I guess half standing. Downtown and the north part of Highway 9, where I live so far, it is not on fire. We're at 5% containment so far. Lost air support for a couple of days because there was no visibility due to smoke. Should be battleable today, but I mean, I've been off the mountain for like 45 minutes, and most of it I've been trying to connect to you guys. So I've barely been able to check Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. But we're safe. I've been working my ass off at my buddy's place, who just bought like 25 acres out here. And we're roughing it. We don't have full-time water hooked up yet, but we're doing that today. We have power, we have food, we have fresh water and good coffee. So fuck, man.
Hey, man, that's what counts at the end of the day. Good coffee
Right?
makes the world go round.
I could be way worse off. I could be like stuck in Cupertino, surrounded by fucking fire smoke, unable to breathe, and still unable to work, and not, you know, in the big sky country.
Absolutely. So I was just wrapping up Glenn Greenwald's article about internet infiltrators and disinformation actors that try to smear online activists. I was just wondering if you had any thoughts or wanted to chime in on that.
Well, that's a subject that's a little near and dear to our hearts, my friend. Look, man, the only thing you can do is let these assholes talk, and by the example that you lead, by the example that you set, by the work that you do, it's pretty easily discoverable who the rat bastard piece of shit is. And yeah, I mean, you can't let these fucks get to you. You can't. You know, it happens. It pisses all of us off. But you gotta fucking shrug that shit off, because when it's all said and done, you're the one that's doing the actual work here. You're the one that's putting in the effort to, I don't know, in our case, you know, hopefully contribute to saving a man's life and the future of investigative journalism. And that's good, honest work, as opposed to what these fucking sick fucks are out doing. I think that shows through. I do.
In some exciting news, we reached our goal. I don't know if you saw that in the group chats. I think it was yesterday morning. We reached our $10,000 goal.
Woo! Holy fuck! Thank you guys. That's fucking incredible. I'm floored by the fact that we were able to do this at all, but especially during a period where so many people are out of work, so many people are losing their health insurance, not a lot of people have money to throw around. So just huge thanks to the people that donated. We can't do this without you. We can't, and you have no idea how appreciated you are, or maybe you do, but don't let it get to you, because nobody likes an ego.
And we're going to be releasing, Kimber's been doing a great job putting a video together behind the scenes for us about our first trip out to DC. So that'll be releasing here soon. And then Steve and I will get together an appreciation video once we have the ability to coordinate with stable internet. But I wanted to dig back in, if you got some time, Steve, into the Senate Intelligence Committee report. I got a couple slides I wanted to go through, and then we should be wrapping for the day.
Yeah, I got about 25 minutes, and then I gotta hop on a different time. I'm representing Action for Assange on Danny Shershen's Fortress on a Hill podcast at
Awesome.
11, and that should air at some point during this coming week.
Well, you have perfect reception right now. Like, everything seems to be coming through good. So
yeah, I had to drive all the fucking way into Garberville. Like, you don't understand, dude. I will take a video of it and post it, but it's a 40-minute trip easy back to my buddy's homestead, and half of that is on a mostly one-lane lunar landscape looking dirt road, where everybody walks around armed. So if you're not used to that kind of shit, it could probably freak you out. Now, because very little surprises me, and because I myself am a supporter and enthusiast of open carry, it doesn't bother me. But fuck, is it a rough road. I really feel sorry for the shocks and brakes and tires of everyone who has to live there. I don't know what the hell happened to Andrew. At any rate, fuck, man. How
Hold
are
on,
you,
let me
Sleepy Josh? I miss you.
I'm good. We still got a show tomorrow?
Oh yeah, we got Vanessa Beeley. We got to coordinate a time, but I think it'll be a 10:30 start.
Okay.
But yeah, Vanessa Beeley will be on Slow News Day tomorrow, and we'll do it live from the parking lot of the hardware store in good old Garberville, California, where uh, white supremacy wears dreadlocks. It's an interesting place here, man.
Really?
It really is. Really is. There's
Cartoon.
an intersection of white nationalists and fake Rastas. It's fucking hilarious. I'm not even kidding, man. I'm not like
Cartoon.
It's a fucking cartoon, Sleepy Josh. It's a fucking cartoon.
I've said that statement so many fucking times in the last 2 days.
So, in some cool news, and no, it's not really news, I guess, but Jimmy started using the term extraordinary rendition. I don't know if
Good.
you, yeah,
Awesome.
it wasn't in regards to Julian's situation, but it was in regards to the shit that Obama did, and Bush did as far as like their torture programs in Guantanamo Bay and shit like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
cool update. Cool. I thought it was.
Baby steps, my friend.
Yeah, we're getting there. Could you pop that Senate Intelligence Committee slide up? There we go. So last week on Tuesday, well, I guess this week, on Tuesday, we were going over the Senate Intelligence Committee's report about the complete bullshit and fabrication that Russiagate is. So we're just going to continue that a little bit and reference it against a WikiLeaks release that came out in 2016. So this is part of the section. It's the limitation on the committee's investigation. The committee faced several limitations in its inquiry. Most importantly, several witnesses implicated in the Senate in the SOC's investigation refused interviews and document productions on the basis of their Fifth Amendment rights. While witnesses include Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, Randy Credico, and Jerome Corsi. In addition, the committee requested but did not obtain an interview with Julian Assange. Ongoing criminal investigations and prosecutions further limited the committee's access to material in the possession of the FBI and the Department of Justice, such as criminal cases against Roger Stone, the GRU hackers, and finally, the committee faced limitations on legal authorities, including an inability to compel evidence from entities outside the United States. As we talked about on Tuesday, this report literally contradicts the FBI's investigation into Roger Stone. So, as they say that they can't get this information, which I find to be like demonstrably false, they literally, throughout the course of this, go directly against what the others said. The one indictment with Roger Stone's own words and communications with WikiLeaks versus the Senate Intelligence Committee's report. So I just think that that's a really interesting note that the propagandists literally couldn't even keep their story straight.
When Stefania put together her very incredible thread about this, that was one of the things that she mentioned. Like the report itself is written not to be a direct revelation of facts, but to be a novel. Like it's a work of fiction and spy novel and piece of really military propaganda. So you've got to be able to parse the bullshit and sort of pull out the few factual details, because what they're doing is they're presenting a Senate Intelligence Committee member report as basically the argument as seen by the prosecution. You know what I mean? So you're not necessarily dealing with facts, you're dealing with persuasive spin, bullshit, and lies.
And part of that spin on the next slide, right? The background on GRU hacking activities. Long blank, the GRU is one of 3 Russian intelligence services in addition to the FSB and Foreign Intelligence Service, known as the SVR, that maintain an active cyber program. Two paragraphs redacted, followed by the ICA states with high confidence. So they are telling you that they don't know. That's what high confidence means. Ray McGovern and Bill Binney have ran through this with us. If the intelligence community says high confidence, it means it didn't happen and they're lying. The ICA states with high confidence that Putin ordered the 2016 influence campaign against the US elections. I would have gotten more to put in this slide, but literally the page that followed was nothing but 4 paragraphs of black ink. All of the sources that followed were all black ink. And what that says is that they have no actual information. But what WikiLeaks showed us back in the Podesta email releases was where the actual influence operations were happening. So if we could bop to that next slide, Josh. This was from the Podesta emails in and of itself. This is a letter from, I think Nasser, it says. I don't know. I can't zoom in that far. But below, please find the agenda for tomorrow morning's meeting, 8 a.m. Eastern strategy call. There is a memo for the DNC discussion attached to this email for your viewing ahead of the call. The agenda, Clinton cash update, DNC plan, see attached memo, and the phones and pool plan, right? So the next slide is the attachment from that email. And this went to John Podesta as well as many other high-ranking members of the DNC at the time. And it says, friends, this memo is intended to outline the strategy and goals for a potential Hillary Clinton presidential campaign would have regarding the 2016 Republican presidential field. Clearly, most of what isn't contained in this memo is the work the DNC is already doing. This exercise is intended to put those ideas to paper. So this wasn't a theory craft. This wasn't speculation. This is something they were already doing that they wanted to talk a little bit more about, right? So they wrote it all out for us here to read. Goals and strategies. Our hope is that the goal of a potential Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign and the DNC would be one and the same, to make whomever the Republican nominee unpalatable to the majority of the electorate. We have underlined 3 strategies to attain our goal. 1, force all Republican candidates to lock themselves into extreme conservative positions that will hurt them in a general election. 2, undermine any credibility, trust Republican presidential candidates have to make inroads into our coalition or independence. 3, muddy the waters on any potential attack lodged against Hillary Rodham Clinton. Right, so this is known as what's called the Pied Piper strategy. Operationalizing the strategy, Pied Piper candidates. There are 2 ways to approach the strategies mentioned above. The first is to use the field as a whole to inflict damage on itself, similar to what happened to Mitt Romney in 2012. A variety of candidates. Sorry, it just jumped on me. The variety of candidates is positive here, and many of the lesser known can serve as crucial words to move the more established candidates further to the right. In this scenario, we do not want to marginalize the more extreme candidates, but make them more Pied Piper candidates who actually represent the mainstream of the Republican Party. Pied Piper candidates include, but are not limited to, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and Ben Cardin. Carson, sorry. We need to elevate the Pied Piper candidates so that they are leaders of the pack and tell the press to them seriously. That last sentence didn't make sense. But
you read it right.
I know, that's why I was confused, because I usually read things terribly. So what this shows is that the DNC selected Donald Trump to be the person running against Hillary Clinton, right? In their own writing, in their own words, they said they are actively already doing this and wanted to put it in paper. This exercise is intended to put those ideas to paper, right? So Ted Cruz or Ben Carson would have been our next president should they have done the Pied Piper, current president, should they have done the Pied Piper strategy different. And this is the part where no one ever remembers, right? That the reason Donald Trump is president is because Hillary Clinton wanted to run against him, right? So anyone out there that's like, oh, lock her up, Trump's so bad, right? Either side of that spectrum, they worked together in 2016 to rig both primaries and make people think that that was their idea to support Donald Trump. So I just want to make sure that that's put out there for everyone before we move on to this last slide here.
It's like that scene in Batman where they're arguing over who made who.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you murdered my parents, so I blah blah blah. Yeah. That's all it is. It's a fucking poorly constructed, not even like the good Marvel cartoon, just DC comic.
This is it's literally DC comical. That's what all this should be classified under. But this last one, right? The GRU plans and executes the theft of sensitive political documents. And this is back to the Senate Intelligence Committee report. In March of 2016, the GRU hackers began to coordinate a multi-month hacking effort against email accounts and computer networks associated with the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. During the instruction, the GRU identified and stole thousands of emails and sensitive political materials that it would later release and promote through fake online personas and WikiLeaks. Initial stages. In March 2016, the GRU hackers began using research and targeting efforts to learn about the Democratic Party websites, including the domains they ultimately hacked. Among other things, the hackers conducted technological queries for IP configurations of the victims' domains and to identify networks connected to devices, as well as metadata associated with those devices, such as the active operating system with aid of the search engine Shodan. I don't know what that is.
Shodan, I think.
Shodan. They also conducted open source research to learn about the DNC network, the Democratic Party, and Hillary Clinton's campaign. Those searches permitted the hackers to identify technical vulnerabilities and potential targets, craft effective spear phishing emails, and to assess the information their expected victims might possess. All of this activity took place before the GRU had successfully gained access to the victims' systems. Right? So what they're trying to tell you here is that it was Russia that got this shit to WikiLeaks, right? That's the whole predicate of the entire Russiagate. And according to their own words, March of 2016 is when it started. I'm going to find the video here to put up for everybody because this literally just blows it away. This is a 2015 interview that Kim.com did. And we can't pull it up due to copyright rules, but I will drop it in chat. Kim.com's 2015 Bloomberg interview, where months before their own timeline and their own admission in this report, Kim.com was already talking about the fact that the Internet Party was going to be actively working against the Hillary Clinton campaign. So I think that that's super important to constantly point out is the fact that they say this started March 16th or March 2016, when we credibly can prove as early as the middle of 2015 or December, I believe, December 1st, 2015, he put a tweet out, Kim.com put a tweet out about it as well, that they were already working to get this information, that it wasn't the Russian spear phishing campaigns, that it was the Internet Party and people worried about the fundamental principles of our democracy that were working to get this information. And it had already been coordinated years before its release. So I don't know how that always gets lost in this conversation, but it's something that I think is super important to be able to pull out and say, we knew in 2015 that something was going to happen in regards to Hillary Clinton.
It gets lost in the conversation because it doesn't fit the narrative. Like, it's not so much that it gets lost in the conversation, it's that it is purposefully removed from the conversation. Because when you start talking about, well, Kim.com, said this back in 2015, and we know through the release of the emails that they go back as far as 2015 in some cases, that that this had all been in motion prior. It's just in order to fit the "my Russians done did it," in order to fit that narrative, you have to jump it forward, and you have to make it I don't know, so bizarre and so, like, I guess if you make it more unbelievable, it becomes more believable because you then weaponize an entire culture in the process. And when you feed people full of xenophobic bullshit and tell them that the only American way to respond to this is to scream, an Australian citizen committed treason against the United States by publishing things, that's where they're going to fall back on.
And to top it all off, right, these spearfishing campaigns that they're talking about, it's not identical to what Reality Winner released to us, right, the information that she showed the public. But if you take it in reference, right, and in context to what the intelligence community said then about the Russian attempts to spearfish, we know that they can't even prove that in Reality Winner's case that it was actually the Russians that were trying to do these spearfishing attempts, to where it seems like they said someone may have tried to do spearfishing to maybe try and get access to these other things, but we don't know if it was successful. We don't know which nation state actually did it, and we don't even know if it was a nation state or an individual that attempted these spearfishing campaigns. So that's, yeah.
All right. Well, I gotta ring off here, and do Fortress on a Hill. But I love you guys. I'm sorry I had shitty reception earlier. I would have liked to have hang out with you for a little bit longer. I will see you tomorrow. I will be chatting with Vanessa Beeley, and that should be a fuck ton of fun. And until then, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here. But I love you guys, and I miss you guys, and hopefully I'll be able to go home relatively soon. From what I understand, both water and power have been shut off entirely, and in a couple of cases, like our water facilities have been melted to the fucking ground. I'm sure that the vast majority of power lines and transformers are damaged, but we'll find out, and we'll go from there.
Talk to you in the morning.
Thanks for hopping in, Steve.
Love you guys. Good luck to us all.
You can find Steve by looking up Slow News Day Podcast on YouTube.
That's true. Yeah, I can do that bit. Slow News Day Podcast on the YouTubes. I'm on Rockfin and D Live. I'm Slow News Day Show on Twitter, and yeah, I'm gonna fucking get my head right here.
Cool. So I appreciate everybody watching. I really appreciate Josh for all his help behind the scenes here for getting the vigil up and running today. And I want to just give, again, a huge thank you to everybody out there in the audience that made this possible, that helped us raise over $10,000 at this point to be able to make it to DC for 3 weeks to hold these protests. That literally means the world. Like, to me, it means that there's enough people that care that we can make action happen. So I just want to remind everybody in this moment that you can be the voice in your town. For 3 weeks, we asked people to reach out to their city councils about getting them to support Julian. Please don't stop that. Please do everything you can locally. If you cannot join us in DC, hang posters, pass out flyers, get a megaphone, and go walk around the streets. Yeah. So just again, thank you to everyone that has made these protests in DC possible, and we really look forward to seeing everybody there. If anything happens to us, because there has been massive waves of bans going across the internet, we are on Rockfin. You can find us there. We don't always consistently put the videos up, but it's something we've started doing again, where we're live streaming there all the time now. So please, if you cannot find us Tuesdays at 9 p.m., we will be on Rockfin, even if YouTube removes us. And hopefully we'll still be on Twitch and DLive and all the other channels that we put out on too.
Yeah, and you don't need a paid account on the Rockfin to watch us on Rockfin.
Correct. We don't do anything premium on Rockfin at all. We ask that no one signs up for premium with us. There's tons of other creators out there that would actually benefit greatly from having someone support them in that way, because a lot of people don't use Patreon anymore and switched over to that, to Rockfin. But with that said, I would just like to again thank everybody for watching. My name is Andrew Smith. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigmund, Zigmund. You can find us on Twitter at action_4 Assange. You can find us online at action4assange.com, where we put out all of our call to actions, the DC updates. The full event schedule is listed on there as well. Yeah, Steve already said it, but good luck to us all.
Where's the jazz hands, man? Thanks, y'all. Talk to you tomorrow.